Posachedwapa tikupasirani mmene zilili ku nyumba ya malamulo lero lino pa 18 December 2024 pamene aphungu wa nyumbayi adayitanisa a president ndipo kuwafunsa mafunso ena makamaka mafunso amene akufunsa amalawi kudzera kwa aphunguwa. Takhala pompo musatire china chilichonse chimene chichitike mnyumbamo pamene aphungu osusa boma komanso aphungu ena aboma akhale akufunsa mafunso a president makamaka potengera ndi mmene dzikoli akuliyendesa komanso zinthu zina mmene zayambira kuyenda. Takhala pompo monere mpaka kumapeto.
Leader of opposition. PQG1.
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, Madam, I appreciate that I have been given a chance to mention the question that I've asked His Excellency the President. This is to ask the President that as Malawi economy, I would like to confirm that this is indeed the question. Thank you.
Very much, Honorable Leader of Opposition and Honorable Member from Nandi Southwest. Your Excellency the President.
Madam Speaker.
Speaker, and as Malawi economy continues to face significant challenges due to concerns over wasteful spending and excessive borrowing, in this context, can you confirm whether the IMF program remains on track, and if so, what measures are in place to restore fiscal discipline? Madam Speaker, as someone who has kept this economy from collapsing under the crushing weight of historic debt, a pandemic that crippled the global economy, a foreign war that sent commodity prices skyrocketing worldwide, a cholera outbreak that killed thousands of Malawians in every district, and 4 climate change disasters that cumulatively killed thousands, left 1 million people homeless, destroyed millions of dollars of infrastructure and businesses, traumatized scores of children, and washed away half of the country's fields, and leaving 1 in 4 Malawians without food. I do not agree with the leader of opposition's assessment that the challenges our economy suffers from are caused by wasteful spending and excessive borrowing. We would not have qualified for an extended credit facility with the International Monetary Fund if our levels of borrowing were deemed excessive, because the restrictions on borrowing that our program with the IMF require are very robust. Similarly, we would not have had the likes of the World Bank and the European Union resume the budgetary support programs that the DPP squandered in the past if the spending protocols required by the Public Finance Management Act were not being followed to the best of our ability under extremely challenging circumstances. And so, contrary to public propaganda pushed by the opposition, over expenditure in the 2024-2025 budget. In fact, if our spending was really outside the confines of the law and the best practices of fiscal discipline, the donor community would not even trust us with the millions of dollars they are investing for us to procure and distribute maize to fight the spate of hunger that El Nino weather has spread to 23 districts of our country. So if the honorable leader of opposition wishes to have an honest and constructive discussion about how to keep our economy growing and in recovery, he must resist the temptation to make half-baked diagnoses. Madam Speaker, what would have been fair for the honorable leader of opposition to say is that despite my government's commendable efforts to achieve fiscal sustainability, the national budget continues to face exogenous shocks such as El Nino weather conditions, which has had a devastating impact on this country's harvest this year, thus creating deviations in expected outcomes, including deviations in economic growth and domestic revenue collection. Madam Speaker, what would be fair to say is that compulsory expenditure that includes interest payments on debts left by the honorable leader's opposition's party and wage bills absorb much of the revenue collected from domestic sources, leaving no room for other discretionary spending. So as the remaining resources are not enough for various government operations, including funding the leader of opposition's attendance of this session of Parliament today, government has no choice but to borrow to cover those shortfalls. But we do not do so excessively because we have to remain within our spending caps and within the parameters of the IMF program. But I doubt that the leader, honorable leader of opposition, would argue that borrowing a little money to ensure that he is able to represent the people of Mulanje Southwest or any other constituency represented in this House today is excessive or wasteful. For I, for one, believe the people of Mulanje Southwest are also Malawians who deserve to participate in these deliberations. Madam Speaker, as a way of enhancing
For Mangochi Southwest, you know the procedures. Nowadays, We don't shout, please.
Madam Speaker, as a way of enhancing fiscal responsibility, my government is committed to continued implementation of reforms such as the rollout of the Integrated Financial Management and Information System, IFMIS, which is central to improving budgetary control and transparency in government transactions. Madam Speaker, as the August House is aware, my administration entered into a 4-year extended credit facility, ECF, program with the International Monetary Fund in November last year, valued at $175 million. The program aims at supporting Malawi's efforts toward achieving macroeconomic stability and sustainable growth. Since its inception, the government has demonstrated a strong commitment to implementing necessary reforms. And so far, resources amounting to about $35 million have been dispersed by the IMF under that arrangement. Madam Speaker, the ECF program has also unlocked additional financial support from key development partners, including the World Bank, the European Union, and the African Development Bank. Some of these resources were received as direct budget support, which underscores the restoration of confidence that our partners have in my administration's management of public finances. And I must thank these international partners for their solidarity with Malawi in our greatest time of need. Because if it was not for their support, we would have had nowhere to turn for relief from the physical pressures we have faced, or for the forex of the importation of essential goods. I must also thank the cooperation of those international partners to whom we as a country owe much of our foreign debt, because it is thanks to them that we have made great progress in restructuring our national debt. This includes the People's Republic of China, with which we have already signed an agreement towards debt restructuring, while we are now in the final stages of reaching a debt restructuring deal with India. Meanwhile, just yesterday, the South Fund for Development approved our debt restructuring proposals, which is welcome news, on top of the in-principle agreements we already reached with OPEC and Kuwait. And I owe this entire House my deepest thanks for showing these institutions that my portrayal of our collective unity in support of national interests was accurate. In that spirit of unity, I invite the Honorable Leader of Opposition and all members of this House to join me in celebrating the fact that because of the measures we have put in place in compliance with the ECF program, also working to control inflation, as evidenced by the fact that Consumer Price Index, PI, for November shows a reduction in inflation, which if maintained, will help keep prices of commodities under control, which is precisely the kind of indicator of macroeconomic stability we should all celebrate. So, Madam Speaker, the country's ECF program remains broadly on track, save for a few areas that are not uncommon for countries in our situation. And as far as those areas are concerned, my government is currently working closely with the IMF to resolve them in order to conclude its first review of this program and clear the way for the next disbursement of funding to Malawi for the benefit of our people. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Choro Central. Sorry? The mics are not working? She will come and check. Cholo Central. Your mic, everybody's mic is working. No. Honorable member for Cholo Tava. Cholo Tava. Resume your seat, Cholo Tava. Resume your seat. Cholo Tava, resume your seat. Resume your seat, Cholo Tava. No. No, Cholo Tava, resume your seat. No, I will not have that. Honorable member for Cholo Tava, if you did not come for training, that's not my problem. You are supposed to be, if you want to be recognized, you are supposed to send in your name as quickly as possible, and it will take the first 6. Thank you. Cholo Central, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable.
Of the question, you have a supplementary? Thank you. Then first it comes to the leader of opposition, the owner of the question. Cholo Central, you come after. Next time, please use the gadget to inform me that you have got a question.
Thank
please.
you. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me a chance to provide a supplementary question, to ask a supplementary question. My supplementary question to His Excellency the President is, what policy do you have when it comes to financial management? I'm asking because, Your Excellency, you have made over 60 foreign trips with large entourage, and you are on road every day within Malawi. This has resulted in overspending. Consequently, we have had large budget deficit. As you are aware, Your Excellency, the inflation rate is now at 33%. Interest rate is over 25%. And the national debt is over 15 trillion kwacha. This cannot be blamed on environmental and geopolitics. To add, your trip has resulted in overspending. Consequently, we have large budget deficit, which means that government cannot live within its means.
Honorable leader of opposition.
Yes, a question.
Yes, can you stick? It is you who brought in this question. You're asking on economic deterioration and IMF. Yes. So the supplementary should stick to the issue that you have raised, please. Thank you. Yes, proceed.
I'm asking, Right Honorable Speaker, because he has mentioned about the environmental and geopolitics. He has mentioned about the problems of the weather, but I'm saying the supplementary question: what policy
But on my right, can I have?
Does the government have when it comes to financial management? Your Excellency, you have made over 60 foreign trips with large interests, and you are on the road every day. Was it not possible that this work could have been delegated to your able ministers who are there? Because by so doing, Your Excellency, it would mean that we are saving money for Malawi. Your Excellency,
Honorable Leader, it's almost 3 minutes. Supplementary is supposed to be 1 minute. It's okay. 3 minutes. Supplementary is only 1 minute, and this is 3 minutes. So please.
I just end up.
Thank you, Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Speaker, by saying the World Bank has said Malawi is in fiscal distress. By fiscal distress, bankrupt as a country. Thank you.
The Honorable Leader of Opposition. Honorable Member for Cholo Central.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for allowing the people of Cholo Central to ask a question, a supplementary question to His Excellency the President. Welcome. Your Excellency, you spoke within your response, the physical discipline that is being undertaken. And within the physical discipline,
Headquarters.
Malawi is in physical distress. By physical,
within the physical discipline, Your Excellency, it is very important that the 3 E's in economics, effectiveness, efficiency, and economical, be adhered to. I therefore would like you, Your Excellency, to pronounce yourself, particularly on the human-caused calamities in the economy, i.e. misprocurements, which are caused by men and your leadership. A very good example would be the misprocurements, for example, of hunting for fertilizer in pharmacies, for example, butchery, for example. And if we close, Your Excellency, you know very well that if we close those taps, you should be able to achieve what you are achieving. What do you intend to do to make sure that those misprocurements, which would form a very good part of this alignment to achieving financial growth, is done? I submit, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Zomba Changalume. Zomba Changalume.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for recognizing the people of Zomba Jangalume to ask a supplementary question to the President. Madam Speaker, IMF uses several components, and one of them is checking if the economic and financial policies are being followed. And since, Mr. President, you have followed this, and it has brought back donor confidence and resumption of donor aid. What measures have you put in place to maintain this most awaited donor confidence? Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Zomba Changalume. Your Excellency the President.
Madam Speaker, let me express deep gratitude to Mulanje Southwest for a supplementary question. With regard to the policy in financial management, words, 60 foreign trips, and that I keep traveling, I should trust members of cabinet to do some of the work I do. Again, thank you for this premised on assumptions that I would not agree with. First of all, Malawi is part of global economy. It is a bad foreign policy that excludes, and so whenever it is possible, I have made trips that would be for the benefit of our nation. When I would miss as important meetings as the Commonwealth, Commerce and others, it means that I'm not attending every meeting and ministers represent me to some of those. I also wish you to know that in some instances, my trips have been funded by those who have requested for me to attend in behalf of Malawi. And so to talk of wastefulness, as you put it, that would have been demonstrated. I just read you a response which was detailed. Cholo Central says there are some human-caused, shall we say, catastrophes in terms of what he called the misprocurement. Well, let me just thank you for being part of this august House that yesterday passed the PPDA law to make sure that all of the concerns that you talk about should be covered should there have been any questions on future procurement. So thank you for helping your country make the right choices. And Zomba Changarume was basically a question to say, how do you maintain donor confidence after we have come thus far? Let's keep doing the right thing. Let's keep maintaining what needs to happen. And let's continue to work in a bipartisan spirit that wants this country to make progress and not some particular individual party. Thank you.
Very much, Your Excellency. We now go to question PQT2, Kasungu North.
Yeah, your time now, your time.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for granting an opportunity to confirm the question in today's order paper that it is indeed coming from the people of TA Kaluruma, Chisempere, Kalikoka, Chisikwa, as well as Chikwa. I do submit. Thank you.
Kasungu North, Your Excellency the President.
Madam Speaker, let me thank people of Kasungu North who are asking the President, and the question is premised on the fact that government listened to Malawians, that local contractors must be prioritized for contracts. And PPDA section 44, subsection 10 says it all. And all bids submitted to give preference to 60% of indigenous black Malawians and 40% others. However, it seems most local contractors are failing this government with delayed projects like roads, schools, security houses. The people of Kasungu North wish to ask if it is possible for the government to revise the law under section 44, subsection 1 of the PPDA to allow contractors get works based on their capacity and history. Madam Speaker, the concern of the people of Kasungu North over the capacity of local contractors to execute contracts on time, on budget, and up to standard is a legitimate concern. And government is actively addressing this matter beyond mere legislation. This is because legislation alone cannot solve the capacity shortfalls of local contractors. Nor is it enough to simply say that those Malawians who lack capacity should be condemned and never be allowed to participate in the development of their own country. The solution is not only to award contracts to local businesses that have a proven track record of delivery and execution, but also putting in place mechanisms for building the capacity of those local contractors who fall short, so that the procurement system does not become a monopoly again. It should be obvious by now that while there have been governments in the past that have allowed contracts to be monopolized for the enrichment of a few, my government's settled policy of prospering together considers such greedy monopolies to be repulsive, and we do not want to allow that. In fact, let me be clear. Whether anyone likes it or not, I will always be first and foremost a president who empowers the powerless, because that's what servant leadership demands. My commitment to empower the powerless is the reason why I enforced an SME order within 6 months of being in office to reserve contracts for certain projects in government for local businesses. My commitment to empower the powerless is also the reason why my government, through the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, has revised the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act of 2017 and brought in a new PPDA Bill 2024 before this House, where it was passed into law just yesterday. My commitment to empower the powerless is the reason why Section 62, subsection 11 of this new law now clearly states that, and I quote, "The procuring and disposing entity shall ensure that 60% of the value of procurements carried out in a financial year and a national competitive bidding is reserved for Malawian micro, small, and medium enterprises, and 40% is reserved for other bidders." And that is clearly an improvement from the old statement. Now, since this provision applies to procurements by all MDAs across all sections, it is imperative that this House supports my government's efforts to ensure that sector-specific pieces of legislation are harmonized to reflect this requirement, following the example of the National Construction Industry Act, which was already harmonized to promote the growth of Malawian-owned firms in the construction industry, and which we complemented with the development of the Malawi Infrastructure Delivery Management Systems for selecting contractors based on their capacity and track record, as well as the joint venture and subcontracting regulation for incentivizing contractors who have a good track record to build the capacity of those who are new. So, in the same way that this combination of legislation that favors our citizens, enabling regulations that promote capacity building and training in contract and project management, is creating jobs, wealth, and opportunities in the construction industry. We are determined to do the same across all sectors, because our desire to empower the powerless is non-negotiable. Madam Speaker, this does not mean we do not see the value of international contractors that can do works of an international standard. As a case in point, I do not think there is any member of this House
or any political party in this House that can dispute the fact that when they leave this House every day to go south or north of this city, they enjoy driving on roads that my administration has constructed. To international standards never before seen in the history of Malawi. But I want to ask members of this House to remember, when driving on those roads, that part of the value of these international contractors is the skills transfer opportunity that they provide to our own citizens to develop capacity, and so they should join me in advocating for procurement practices that empower the powerless by focusing less on the failures of those people, of our people, and more on their potential, no matter how long it takes, because Rome was not built in a day. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very much, Your Excellency. Zomwe, Tonya, Halombe East, then Chitipa East.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And let me take this opportunity to welcome the State President of this country, Dr. Lazaro Chakwera, as fondly pronounced by himself so many times that I've heard him do so. I like the way that the President has said, to power the powerless. This is very strong and this is very powerful. I appreciate. But when we look at our local contractors who are toiling, lamenting for payment. Last time that they got paid was in July. Up to now, do we call this powering the powerless? Madam Speaker, when we talk about capacity, to capacitate our local contractors, it comes in 3 or 4 folds. Number 1, technical know-how. Number 2, financial. Number 3, headcount. These kind of elements capacitate our contractors. In this vein, in this light, are we capacitating them in order for them to compete on an equal footing with their international counterparts?
Obligation to pay 4.98 billion, which is 20%, as advance payment. But this House passed 2.4 billion as an allocation, which is not even enough as an advance payment. Your Excellency, that contract to date has not started yet. And one would think that the contract is not starting because the contractor does not have capacity, and yet it is our own making. The second issue is the issue of delayed payments. The day before yesterday, as a committee on transport, we went to Kalinyeke, where Fortune Construction is constructing a way bridge at a contract price of 10 billion kwacha. He was given advance payment, he has worked, and raised a certificate of about 600 million kwacha. When we were going through the issues, one of the issues raised on this profile was that the contractor's lack of financial capacity. And it says the contractor exhibits lack of financial capacity as he is unable to finance the works. And yet the contractor has worked, he has raised a certificate of 600 million kwacha, and 5 months down the line, he hasn't been paid. As you are trying to look at ways of trying to capacitate this...
Member for Palombe East, yes. It's more than a minute, it's 2 minutes 30, it's 1 minute for supplementary.
All right. Is it possible that as you are trying to address the issues, your government addresses these 2 issues, little resource allocation and delayed payments? I thank you, Mr. President.
Chitipa East.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for granting the floor to the people of Misuku. to ask a supplementary question to His Excellency the President. Before I ask that question, I wanted to thank the President for being the first President to represent, to be present in this House consistently ever since my departure. Your Excellency, Chitipa East and its people are concerned that despite Your Excellency's commitment to good governance and observance of the rule of law, among others, there are a few individuals who always want to disturb your course. Your Excellency, I'm aware of the magnificent Mzuzu library you have constructed in the north. I'm aware of the beautiful police houses you have built in Mangochi, Blanta, Misuku, Doa, and all over the country. I'm aware, Your Excellency, of the beautiful roads you have constructed in this country. I've not seen roads elsewhere other than the roads that we have now. Now, Your Excellency, what baffles me and the people of Misuku, that there are few individuals who have decided to, to retrogress your progress by having to destroy infrastructure. For instance, ESCOM infrastructure is being destroyed. People have gone to the beautiful street lights that you have installed in Longwe. They started stealing. And so many of those barbaric acts. I want, therefore, a word from Your Excellency. What could you advise Malawians of like mind who want to retard your progress on such issues? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Advised, Your Excellency the President.
Madam Speaker, let me thank Zomba Tonya for the supplementary question. As to how do you empower the powerless when they don't even have technical cover, when they struggle for money. And it's pretty much similar to Palombe East, talking about little allocation and delayed payments. And maybe I could just make some comments here. All government is doing all it can, price escalations. And the other problem most local contractors struggle with is that they underprice to get jobs. And so sometimes delayed payments happen due to government reallocations of resources, particularly when we are faced with emergencies such as hunger, cyclones, and so forth. But I must thank Palombe East because some of the issues raised are penitent with regard to price adjustments and allocations that sometimes do not seem to have come on time. I was up north just recently, and like he has cited the examples, there are those who are doing excellently. It's not a blanket condemnation, as it were, of local contractors failing to do or to deliver. Some are doing excellently. But many times, there's been a tendency to believe that if I bid the smallest amount, I would get the contract and then immediately begin to revise prices because now I have gotten it. And that tendency has tended to derail certain developments. Some local contractors need also to learn to prioritize. When they have been awarded contracts, they do not want to invest in equipment and skills. Instead, they like buying luxury vehicles that cannot even be used in the contract that they are supposed to deliver. It would be prudent to make genuine profits after you have done your work, rather than to make it the first thing you want to do to reward your sale. But these are matters that we all need to be very honest about and talk about so that we together can address them. The fact that some have been able to do means that it can be done. The fact that others have failed, it means that we can still help them, give them a hand up, so they are able to not only improve on their skills, but have equipment that enables them to do their job. It's not uncommon to see people getting a contract and then running around to find people with the equipment with which to do that contract, because now they have gotten the piece of paper. Let's learn to be very honest in the manner in which we work to develop our own country. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We now go to question PQT3, Lilongwe City Center.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me a rare opportunity to ask a very important question to the President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. McCarthy Chakwera. I stand to confirm that question PQT3 appearing during this 15th session, during this 60th meeting, today on Wednesday, the 18th of December 2024, is indeed coming from the mighty people of the Lilongwe City Center constituency at exactly 1 minute past 3. I thank you.
Thank you.
Kumodo ndimene zilili kunyumba ya malamulo lero lino pamene aphungu akufunsa mafunso kwa president wa dziko lino malingana ndi zinthu zina zimene zikuyendera mdziko muno. Mukhale pompo pakuti tikhale petu kupasirani zambiri.